Greetings, fellow travelers, and welcome to The Way of the Showman, where we, as always, view the world through the lens of showmanship. I am Captain Frodo, and I will be your host and guide along the way. And today, we continue on in a conversation. It is different from last time, but it contains three interlocutors, Ivar Hacksher, Jay Gilligan, and yours truly. And we met after the conversation that has come out in the last two episodes. The day after, Jay and myself went to Ivar's beautiful apartment in Stockholm, and after the day before, where I had recorded 3 episodes that you might already have heard about the creation of and process of Another Sunset with Jay Gilligan, and also both episodes that came out about Eric, where I was in conversation with Eric Aubrey, and also the conversation that Eric Aubrey, Jay Gilligan, myself, and Ivar Hacksher had the night before. All that was on one day. So as we arrived in Ivar's apartment, I felt a little underprepared. So in this conversation, it is wonderful to hear how not only that Jay picks up the thread and leads this conversation, but also I felt like I was getting to sit in with 2 friends, 2 artists who both respect each other. One artist who has worked his 80-year-long life in the field of education, but that somebody who thinks like an artist about education, and an artist within the field of juggling and within the field of circus, who has been in I don't actually know how long their conversation has been going on, but this way that the 2 of them talk, and the way that Jay asks questions and pulls the most amazing viewpoints and ideas out of Ivar, was just wonderful to see. When I felt a little fragile or whatever, sitting there in that beautiful apartment with all the art that Ivar has made around on the walls, as well as other glorious art, it was just very nice. And in this episode, more than any episode that I have put out, I feel like I too am a listener, just like you are. So I hope you will enjoy listening to this as much as I enjoyed participating only a little bit, but mainly listening. So without further ado, or adieu, or adieu, I would like to just jump straight into the world of ideas as presented by Ivar Hacksher and Jay Gilligan.
When I met Olle and Sarah, and they had told me they were opening a studio, my first reaction was, what's it for? How are you going to pay for it? What's the structure? What's the organization? What's the idea? What's the business? Because in my mind, to have a studio in the city, it's the first thing that comes to mind is money and organization and business.
Yeah.
And their answer was absolutely, we don't know why we have a studio. We don't know what's going to happen here. And I kept pressing them, but why have one then? Well, we don't know. We just wanted to have one, so we're going to see what happens. And that was something I have a hard time relating to, because I don't necessarily feel I ever had that opportunity in my life much to just, hey, let's just get a studio and see what happens. Like, it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And it's also not my personality. So then I was also thinking that thought compared to another thought, which was all of this intellectualization around art these days, and writing grants. And you write the grant and you have to say what you're going to do. And you never write a grant and say, well, I'd like to have a studio. I'm not really sure why. Maybe something fun could happen. I don't know. Give me 50 million crowns. You can't do that, right? So I was looking around the world recently and saying, where are the opportunities we have in this world to say, I don't know? And what I really appreciate Olle and Sarah is, because I interviewed them back when I did Another Sunset.
Yeah.
And I said, what is your company about? And they both were kind of like, our company is about having fun. And I'm like, yeah, but what does that mean? Oh, I don't know. We do things that we think are fun, and we do things that we don't maybe know how they're going to work out, but we have a feeling for it and we just go for it and try it. And I think that's such a not the thing to do. That nobody's doing that these days, right? Like everything is preconceived, like we said before, and everything is predetermined, and it has to already be known in order to be in process. So that's a question: is where is the space these days for this thing of I don't know?
Yeah. The good schools are these places. I can tell you, when one of the schools I was part in starting, there is a law in Sweden that there is a school law that says what a school shall have, and it says, among other things, that there shall be a plan. What is going to happen in grade 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, blah, blah. And when we applied for license to start this school, we said, we don't want to lie. All these schools all over the place, they're just telling fucking lies. They give you a program and they don't fulfill it. Because what happens in the classroom is what happens in the classroom. Mm-hmm. So could we maybe have an agreement here that we give you a report of what we have done, not of what we are going to do? And this board of politicians in Södertälje, they agreed on that. And for 5 years we worked without a plan. And after 5 years they forgot to check for the reports. So it just went on. So it was in a way a place where whatever happened could happen. Mm. That's one thing. Another thing is Paris in the 20s, where Gertrude Stein had this home where they met all the time. And anything happened, these guys just met there. And they met also in Braque's atelier and in Picasso's, and not so much, but also, and in Matisse's and other guys' places. And somewhere there was money. In Sweden, in the early 20th century, there were guys, real mecenates, who provided for Strindberg or for some of the painters, and so they provided. What you could also say, they invested in artists. In that time, art was not a market price thing. It was rather a bourgeois possession. I guess that, I don't know this, but I guess that both Olle and Sarah come from comfortable economies. Come from comfortable. I don't know if they, not for sure that they have a comfortable economy, but I think they feel safe in the world of money, whether they have money or not.
Yeah, no, that's a great observation. That could be true. I know a little bit of the financial details of some recent history, which has been pretty rough, but yeah, maybe the overall momentum of their lives have led them to this. Like Frodo was saying yesterday or today that, because I was talking about being an independent artist and hustling since I've been 15 years old to get gigs, and you just need the next show, the next show, the next show. You don't know where it's going to come. And Frodo said he finally accepted that next year, even though you don't have a ton of bookings, you will be okay, and you will get bookings, and if you don't, it's going to be okay. And I could never shake that feeling of like, I have to get gigs. Whereas maybe Olle and Sarah have arrived to some place of being like having the same feeling of faith in their economy.
I always had. We were throughout not having money. We were having absolutely all the early years in Järna in the 60s and 70s, we had salaries on which nobody could survive, but we did. So it's easy, in a way, if you feel comfortable with it. It's a lot of carrots and a lot of potatoes, and not so much cake and bake, but it works.
That's my downfall, cake.
Yeah. See, that's why you're always after the money.
But there is cake now, so please cake yourself.
That's because I get gigs, Ivar. This is not incidental. See, guys, this is what I'm saying.
No, but I absolutely see totally the difference often when we talk.
Okay.
That you are coming from the not tax country, America, and I'm coming from the tax country, Sweden.
Eric talks about that a lot with me too.
And
yeah.
that is an enormous difference. It's a totally different culture.
Right.
Which makes your life feel totally different. And
this, yeah, and it's also interesting because this security that somebody will catch you when you fall, if you have that, whether it is through family or whatever that net is, and then to know, because I'm Norwegian and I know that if I got sick, well, I had cancer when I was a child, that was taken care of.
Yep.
And there was never a point where anyone was going to say, oh, you're gonna have to sell your house, which is a genuine reality that families where both parents and grandparents sell their house to try to save someone they love.
Yeah.
And you do, because it does not become an option, and that the Americans still think, yeah, well, but health, it's a service, the doctor needs the money, and I'm going like, even normal people that I think of like, this is someone like me, and then you talk to them something like that, and you go, we are so fundamentally different, and having that also allows for that space that I was talking about yesterday of parents, the proto-parents in the paleo time or in animals, allowing their children the safety to play, and that the most beautiful things can come from this place of safety. I don't know if that's genuinely true, because you also something beautiful things, Viktor Frankl and the stuff that he found in the concentration camps. Beauty can be found anywhere, but there's a general thing for a society. It's more likely that there's going to be something beautiful coming from that sense of safety.
I think there's another aspect to say about this where's the place for I don't know, and then this is really good observation about financial security, to have the space, as you're saying, to take a risk and to fail. But it's also, I think, has something to do with modern times, internet, social media, whatever. But again, I go back to, I interviewed this guy named Shirt from New York a couple years ago, actually about the color juggling stuff. He's an artist, and he was doing an art project where you could call and talk to him for an hour. So I called and talked to him for an hour, and I tried to ask him about juggling and things. It didn't go anywhere because he was just stuck with the novelty of it, and he was asking me, oh, what do you mean by juggling? How does that work? Do you do chainsaws? But he's an artist, and I asked him, and I said, everybody in this world right now, because again, this is 4 or 5 years ago, is asking, what's it mean? Oh, you embroider pictures, Ivar? What are they about? What does it mean? And I asked Shirt, I said, so what do you say when people ask you what your art is about? And he said something I will not forget. He said, here's the thing, man. In this day and age, you have this thing, Instagram, on your phone. And the whole point of Instagram is to take your finger and swipe the screen, and you get a new image in front of you. And the whole point isn't whether you like it or not. The whole point is that you decide immediately if you like it or not, so that you scroll to the next picture. Because even if you like it and you do your little heart button, you don't look at that again. You don't come back tomorrow and find that thing that you hearted today. The whole point of kind of modern media and society right now is to drive you to have an immediate opinion so you can discard whatever it is that you saw in front of you. And he said, my art, unfortunately, he goes, I can't do that. He goes, I refuse to let people have an opinion about my work in a half second. And he said, the stuff I make, it takes whatever, I think he said 30 minutes or something, like minimum, to kind of contemplate before you can even begin to think if you like it or not. And so I think that's maybe also a thing too, like when I say, if you look around the world right now, when are we allowed to say, I don't know? Because it is the symbolic thing of everything we see, we're supposed to like it or not like it. It doesn't matter. It's to discard it to get to the next image, because we have an infinite stream now, right? I just want to see this picture, Ivar. Oh, it's your new picture. Cool, it's nice. What's the next picture, Ivar? Oh, I don't like that one as much. What's the next one, right? Like, you don't sit with something these days and take time to think how you to say I don't know. Maybe that's another aspect of this.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't do that.
Yeah.
And I know people who don't do that, like you, for example, or you, and it's a culture which is kind of quenching or what you say, strypa, kräva.
Strangle.
Yeah, strangling original culture. It's a non-culture, and this making fast decisions on a screen, it's not making decisions at all. It's a virtual avoiding of making decisions, avoiding of finding out what you feel. It's a way to definitely separate your mind from your emotional life. It's suicide, I would say. And I mean, already when films started, we were well on our way, and that was 100 years ago. So this suicide is going on 100% or 120.
Can I ask a little like related thing to that? When I hear Marie Andre talk about her work in the PhD program, one thing I've heard her talk about this idea of artistic research. We don't have to get stuck on definitions of words, but one thing I really hear from her, which I wonder if I understand correctly or if you've heard her talk about it, is that she feels a relief being in the program because she doesn't have to produce a concrete result all the time. And because I asked you the difference between how you might feel about your work and Eric and his PhD, and you said, well, in your life you're always looking for that angle that's making it into a reality of a certain form, whereas Eric is a little bit more open-ended in his ability because he's in this financial framework of the PhD. So Marie Andre, she talks about this idea of like, artistic research is so nice because I don't feel the pressure to kind of have to always define or do I get that wrong?
I astound because whenever I meet her, she is in need of time because she has to produce this or that end, almost in panic. And now she has to present something on the 1st of June, and the whole family life is shivering.
She has to do like a presentation or something?
Yeah, she has to give in a paper.
Oh.
It's not a presentation this time.
I see.
Presentations, she's absolutely all right with. Doing this, which she did in this costume, which I really don't like. And
I mean, I can relate to having to turn in papers. I mean, that's like, a different thing.
But I never heard that she felt free because it's so open.
Well, I don't think she ever said that to me, but was my interpretation. She was saying she really enjoyed because in artistic research, again, I hate these words, especially among us, because who cares? But
that is what it's called. They're both taking a PhD, so you might as well call it artistic research without a caveat, because
well, so
5-year grant.
So inside of that, that's true. So inside of that, even when you fail, you.
But this was Eric said this yesterday.
Okay, yeah.
So as far as I understand it, he is looking at his artistic process for how he created the ghost boxes and how he created and he's making, so that's one way, he's looking at his artistic process and how that can be used to create new work. So he's exploring an art practice to create work, but the work that he creates in the end, like it's so open what that work is going to be, and it doesn't have to be a work that is astounding by any measure or so. You just have to go through it as a sort of proof of concept or so, but it's not so the work in itself, and what is the most valuable bit about it, which I find attractive, is the exploration itself. So it's trying to formulate the words to describe how do you actually come up with these new different things. And through that he has found these key things of architecture, and juggling is the same in this way through these particular examples. So he's using many, but he is in a sense just describing an art practice that will lead to a certain type of work. But there is doesn't be that he does in the end and then he needs to sell 5,000 tickets to prove that it was valuable, or that an artist will look at it and go, oh yeah, this is a better method than Ivar Hacksher uses here and that Picasso used there. So this is now it's a superior new method. It's nothing like that. And this must be somewhat sort of reassuring that you don't have to quite prove yourself in that way, because describing the process in depth is the task. And that's interesting.
Yeah, the world, as we said yesterday, the world as such, the evolution as such, forces us to become conscious about what we are doing. And in original days, the knowledge about art was in the academies, and the creation of art was in the art universities. And it was no question about research at the art academies or art universities or whatever they call them, konsthögskolorna. They were supposed to make sculptures or paintings or music or whatever, and then there were the academics that watched that. And in a society which works as a society, that could have led to cooperation between academic students and artists, which would have been so interesting and so nice, because Eric and Marie are both artists, and of course it's interesting to follow their minds, but in a way it's a waste of time that they don't create.
Yeah, well, and that's also like, but they have, hopefully then, what they have done is that they're spending 5 years developing in an intellectual way what it is that they do, and hopefully they can take that out with no sort of comparison. Steiner was first a doctor of philosophy, and even before that, when he was doing the works of Goethe, he was still in a very intellectual way, but in a living kind of way. But up until 1900 or so, he was mainly expressing himself through philosophy and technical language.
Oh, yes.
In many ways. And then he, around the turn of the century, he opened up and started to talk in different ways. And that means that it has opened up the work that he did, that you can penetrate it from philosophy, a deeply well-argued way, or you can come to it from an artistic way, or you can come to it from many different approaches that he later on talks to. But he has an actual epistemology, like a theory of perception, like how does man acquire knowledge of the world? So he starts kind of right there at the bottom and then builds it up. And I find in myself, having spent the years of the pandemic writing out the 40 episodes and formulating my way of the showman, that this has helped me considerably in my art practice, to not just have them as ideas. I have these thoughts about what the difference is between art and entertainment. I have these thoughts about my relationship to the audience and how they are to perceive my work. I have these ideas of what it is that I do with the showman and the audience and the show. And all of those things, when I then wrote them out and constantly having to restructure it to know how things fit together, that I come out on the other side as a much more confident artist in what it is that I'm trying to express. Now, I took a break during that time to just write, but that was because the pandemic was on and I couldn't do shows, so I had to pour my creativity into something else, and I didn't have a grant, except that I got to stay for free and were not paying electricity in my father's basement. Took my family and we stayed there, and this gave a certain moment of rest that I then could do it. So hopefully both of Eric and Marie, that I don't know, that they also will take this work and hopefully rise above it. But maybe because you've been talking to me a little bit today, and a part
exactly
of that,
today was exactly what he just said.
And part of that feeling of it, like, is going, is the language so dead that we can't anymore get anything from it? Because that's what I'm afraid of when you asked me, would I like to be in a program like that? And I don't know if I would, to constantly have to be within the academic requirements of I don't know if that is my way of expressing myself, I
think there are different ages also. I think to do these PhD things, you should rather be under 30. And Marie is older, and that's not good.
Right.
So what's Eric?
He's not well.
I have another thing to ask you, Ivar. Is it okay?
Yeah,
I have two things to ask you. But we'll take the first one first. So I was teaching, I think Ben was running some sort of independent course at the school last semester, we can say, before Christmas. And he invited me to come teach for a few days, 1 week. And so it turned out that all the people in the course at the time were jugglers. So that was cool. And because before I had worked the year before on there's like a pole artist, a rope artist, tissue artist, but this year it was all jugglers. So I invited Davide and Floriman to come, and we just had a big juggling class with 6 people for a week, which is, always nice to have a bigger group. And so we were just going through like my normal teaching stuff, which prior to this incident, I used to think was good. Or that I knew what I was talking about. And I always think that my juggling class is the easiest thing in the world generally. I think you have to work really hard, but I don't think it's you're not lost as to what we're doing. I always give you a framework within which you can fill in the blank. So like today we're working on this theme, here's the definition of that. Your task is this, but within these parameters you can do whatever you want. So you can fill it in with your Diablo or your foot juggling or your club, right? Like that's what we've developed.
Yeah.
And so I also think that over the years of teaching, I've gotten quite a list of what I call tools in my toolbox to share with the students of like, hey, if you're stuck, here's a bunch of ideas to get unstuck. So here's the thing that happened. So there was a girl there, and I said, okay, everybody, we're going to take your sequence, and you're going to, at some point in the sequence, you're gonna take something and just repeat it in a loop 10 times, and then in another part you're gonna, who cares, jump in another place, whatever, right? So it's there's concrete tasks, but you still have to fill in the blank. I don't think that's hard work. I mean, it takes concentration and effort and sweat, but like it's straightforward. So this girl, we work on it for 5 minutes. You know how it goes. Oh, you have 6 minutes, and she comes and she's like, I don't know what to do. And so then I go, oh, okay. And I repeat the assignment again. It's like, yeah, I understand what you said. But when you said, like, pick something and, like, do it 10 times in a row, like, I don't know what to pick. And I'm like, oh, but no, that's fine. You can pick anything. It can be the first thing or the second thing. Like, I could list all the things in your routine, but, like, pick one. And she's like, yes, but I don't know which one to pick. And then I'm like, and I keep thinking, it took me a while to realize that like what we're drilling down to is that moment of creation, Frodo, right? That we keep kind of dancing around. And I thought I had all these tips and tricks to confront that moment. But it turns out I don't. Because at the end of the day, I could tell the girl which thing to pick to repeat. Right? I could do that decision. But she needed to do it. And she just kept saying again and again, but I don't know what to do. And I would give her examples of what to do. I would tell her to look at the other students. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, she could not pick, and I was speechless, because what can you do? Because you can't do it for her.
Yeah, and you can't do what you should do. So you could tell her the story about what you should have done 70 years ago, where people were not so frail and weak as people are today. And 70 years ago, if I would have been the teacher and you would have been the student, and you would have come to me and told me, I don't know what to pick, I would have said, get out of this room! And then you would have been very shaken and going out crying, and you didn't know what to do, and the next morning you would absolutely know forever what to do when you don't know what to do. Because this total artistic weakness is, of course, can only be mended by oneself, as you say. And the only way to get her to be oneself is to put her down into herself. And that is violence, and we shouldn't make things with violence these days, because people are too frail. But you can tell them a story about what you should have done, and maybe she picks up. And if she doesn't, then she has to go to her psychotherapist.
I mean, the moment caused me also, I mean, the big revelation was on myself, that I thought I was talking about one thing all these years, and it turned out I actually wasn't, right? Because I thought, man, I have all these methods. I've written essays and chapters and books about it, of like how to make tricks and how to have ideas and how to work with juggling. You know, you've seen me in class all these years, man. I have all these ideas, endless ideas, but actually confronted with that one singular moment of the actual act of creation, I couldn't.
But this was also, it doesn't feel to me like this was a real moment of creation either. It was an inability to make a choice. Because you said she already had the sequence. So you were just needing to choose one
But what's
thing.
what's the difference?
No, so I'm thinking like you can make a choice about, because now I was going like, should I have this chocolate here or should I have this one or whatever? And that to me is less loaded than an act of creation. There is a separation between just choosing one thing.
You mean like as if there was nothing on the table and you say, what should we eat? And you have all the choices of food to put on the table.
Well, more like if she is there and you're in the room and it's not juggling or it's anything, and your assignment is you come in and there is nothing and you just go, okay, just do something. This is so open-ended that it can be difficult, but you've narrowed it down so much, and they already have a bit of a sequence, and from the sequence you need to choose one thing to repeat 10 times. So there is something where also, like, because you're thinking of the thing of violence, and I'm thinking of going, well, if you don't know how to, out of a sequence of 7 things in a row, don't know how to pick 3 and repeat them 10 times, then this class is too advanced for you. You need to go to another place and learn how to there's 5 pictures. Now, based on what you like the most or which one you find the most blue, I can give you that too, and then just pick 3. And then you need to just get into a point of going like, scroll on your Instagram and find 3 things you like. Can you do that? Is that low enough? And then you go, just imagine that each of these things is that, and then you click like on it. This is as little as this could be, or when you grow, this you can take much bigger choices, but it seems if you're already confused as to choose 1 out of 7 or 3 out of 7 or whatever, then how are you approaching your actual work? Like, what is it that you want to say? Because it could just be that she's far back in the thing, but it could also just be that you're frail and you're afraid to take a choice because you think that there's a right answer. So it could also be that you're giving so many rules that she thinks you're obviously after something specific. And
good observation.
One thing that happened in the classes when I had the whole groups was this. I asked them, please do this and do it with care, but it is necessary that you do it. someone of you is coming, you are sitting alone in a room, and either any one of you is coming into the room. Does it make you glad, afraid, sad, disturbed? Does it matter, or what? What do you feel when this person comes into the room? And you shall not be unawares about your emotional relation to your friends or to your colleagues or whatever you call them. You are going to work here for 3 years together, and if you don't know what emotional relation you have to each other, you are going to pestify the whole place. So please do this. And we never talked about it again, but all understood. And this girl, of course, people are emotionally blind or deaf or whatever you call it. And this relation between my mind, which notices that I have an emotion, but if my mind never exercises this notification of emotions, which you can really destroy and disturb, which we just said, by virtual methods, then we are in a mess, because people will then not be acting out of themselves, they will be acting out of the results of what they have been through the last 5 years. They will be products of what has happened to them. And we can't have that. And we are having it.
If you talk about, we're in this age of consciousness, or we're having consciousness, how is that in relationship to the woman crossing the street in Yarna who couldn't walk?
Yeah. But that was...
And you have to tell...
That was...
maybe it's a wrong... Maybe I made a wrong...
No. That was a consciousness question, not an emotion question.
Yeah.
But it was absolutely an interesting thing. This was a psychotic wife of a friend of mine. And she had been to the store buying stuff, so she had 2 bags of stuff. And she was walking up the street, which was a slope. And she suddenly was just standing there. He was standing there like this. And I came from behind her. And I went up to her and I said, Desti, what are you doing? I'm trying to find out how it is to make a step. And she got stuck.
Wow.
And I pushed her on the back, and then she walked again.
Yeah.
But she got stuck in this consciousness situation, which you easily can.
Yeah.
You easily can.
Is it maybe similar to, you gotta be very conscious of how you learn how to play the piece on the piano, but if midways through actually performing the piece, you start to think, is it the long finger, is it the ring finger? Then the music goes away.
Totally.
So you have to put all of your consciousness in it first, and then you have to let it go. And if you really have to think when you're walking, and now do I move my hip now? And then I put the foot up, and then I go.
Exactly.
And then even when you try to do that, you go, but I'm off balance, because you forget that walking is actually falling.
Yeah.
And so I put my leg, but it's like, what was that spit? And you've forgotten one thing. That's...
Yeah, and there is the real story is a father of a child which I had in the Waldorf school. He was from Denmark, the boy, and the father was a real hippie. And this real hippie in some community in Småland, south of Sweden, they did exercises on breath yoga. And they became more and more conscious about how to breathe. And finally, he couldn't breathe.
The boy couldn't breathe?
It was the father.
Or he lost the automatic...
Because
you have the auto... like your heartbeat.
He had taken charge of his breath.
Yeah. Conscious charge over breathing.
Yeah, and for 3 days he breathed, but then he fell asleep, and there was no breath going on, and they had to make him and call the ambulance and bring him to the hospital, and restart him, actually.
And that reset was working then? It was back to automatic breathing?
He was brought back to automatic breathing, but not in a jiffy. Not in a jiffy. And when we did the singing exercises with these Verbeek people, then it was a real strong rule. We can do the breath exercises for 3 weeks, and then if you haven't got it by then, give it up and don't start again until after half a year.
So you get a great example of playing the piano when you start thinking about your fingers, but then in the broader sense, if we're in this age of consciousness about things, and then we see some dangers of consciousness, how do you see a way to go forward, or what to be aware of, or?
You have to be aware of where consciousness is needed and where not. And don't start to try to digest your food, because then you are in deep shit. And if you will try to make your blood go round, so there are processes which you don't need to be conscious about.
Okay, so just a little bit farther on this, because we're close to some other stuff you said before to link this together, in my mind at least, which would be great. So we should be conscious of you said there's where conscious is needed and where it's not.
Yeah.
And so it'd be fun to kind of draw that line a little bit more clearly. So you should be conscious at the start, but then you have to give yourself up to the process, or what? Like, where's the if conscious is needed some places and not? Can you be a little bit more clear on those two places? It occurs to me something about, like, we always used to have these talks years ago where I would always try to define things, and you're like, dude, you can't, art is not science.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's a phrase that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Like, can you say anything more about where it's needed and where it's not, in terms of the process of maybe creating something or performing something or understanding something?
Yeah.
Like,
I would say this is news, so I will blah 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 kind of. But what I thought even in the beginning of your question was that the consciousness about what happens in me should be someone else's consciousness.
what does that mean?
That means that there are good medical doctors. They are conscious about my breath, about my digestion, about my blood circulation and heart and all.
I see.
And the consciousness is in its right place when it is by someone else. That was the first thing I thought.
Okay.
But then we have also been talking about clean art. And then we said, of course, when you are a juggler, you can also have music or even move on the floor and have some dancing. But you should be conscious about what you are doing.
What you're working with.
Yeah, what tool.
The elements that you're working,
the elements or the artistic tools,
techniques,
or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
You should be conscious about that. And there is no limit
right,
for
like
that.
Like if you're juggling and you go, I'll just do a little movement along with my juggling, but like pretty soon, actually that movement it's dance. And you don't know that you're dancing. That's like a little bit
because
rough sometimes.
Because it's then the movement is not conditioned by the juggling. And then it's an addition. And what do we think about additions in art?
In clean art.
We don't like that.
Yeah. Right.
But of course, the throwing and catching conditions also movement. And I just saw this sequence is the parade where West runs through Stockholm doing things. I was so happy. You should see it. It's beautiful. It's like the guy who walks with 3 balls in New York.
Oh, Michael Motion.
Yeah, Motion. It's like Motion's walk in New
York.
Yeah,
right.
The same sense.
Right.
It's great. But there are.
So then we can name things like breath and walking and heartbeats and kind of all these automatic, and playing the piano with the piece where we don't want conscious to get in the way. consciousness to stop
No, but the
us.
piano thing, I think, is a great example. I had this Norwegian friend, you might know about him. It's one of the Smith brothers, Didrik Smith. No, he's a brother of Jürgen Smith.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay, Didrik Smith, the brother, was a musician. And he told us about how he did. And it is such a good way to learn to do things in art. He played piano, and when he studied a piece to make it presentable, he did it as slow as he could do it. And as fast as he could do it.
Yeah.
And he went from this to that, from that to this, from that to this, until he found his tempo of doing it.
Yeah.
Because there is a personal tempo.
Yep. And
for
to
you.
find that tempo, you have to go to either side of it to see where you truly are. Because you think your natural first tempo is that's my tempo.
No.
Not necessarily.
No, because it's
you haven't
a new
explored the territory.
Yeah, because you have to explore the territory.
Yeah.
And this goes also when I have now, for example, with red colors, I have red plus, red minus, and red plus minus, and with blue also.
Yeah.
When you should find out which blue you really mean. I mean, to explore the world of colors, it will take years. I will never get there. I started far too late, but at least I have got a notion about what it is all about.
I mean, you can do that same. It's really fun. Not with only ambiguous things like what's my natural tempo, which isn't really an absolute value. It's interpretive, and also should it be more blue or red? That's also a subjective thing. But you can tell students and go, okay, everybody, put your arm out straight, make it nice and straight. Okay, now everybody, make it more straight, and they will.
Yeah.
And then you say make it less straight, and they will. But like if you say make your arm straight, then it should be an absolute value, right? If you say make it more straight, and like okay, and that's kind of fun.
You should put more tension into it somehow, yeah.
Sure. Or lots of times make your arm straight, and they do. I say make it more straight, and they do.
Yeah.
Like there's even an actual movement.
Yeah.
And that's the consciousness of what we think is our baseline
And
versus the reality of the baseline.
Yeah.
So my end answer to your question, where is the limit, is reflection. You have to do the reflection thing.
Yeah.
You have to look back to what you did, or look back on what you did. We are talking about eating or throwing balls or making music or whatever.
That conversation I
kids.
had or the interaction. Yeah.
Just you watch what you did, and you will know whether or not there is a need of a special study, or if you just watch it next time again and next time again and next time again, whereby it will correct itself. And there are areas which you will find by reflection. There are areas where you would like to stop and go in and start watching more and become more conscious by exercises.
And so that's really close to one thing I wanted you to tell Frodo about, of your kind of thinking, or share with him, because I've benefited so much from it, and it's really maybe closely linked to something me and Frodo were just talking about over lunch.
And what kind of exciting topics that myself and Jay Gilligan talked about at lunch, you will find out in the next exciting episode of The Way of the Showman, leaving you on that colossal cliffhanger, just like that. And it's interesting in listening back to this conversation, which I listened to as much as you, as I said, it felt like I was also discovering the topic. What is it that we're talking about here? And it felt like, even though we talked about lots of different things, that the idea of choice and making intentional choices, that this is one of the ideas that lies and underpins it all, which then, without with risk of spoiling it for next episode, we are going to be talking more about intention. And this actually, what we're talking about in this episode here and in the next episode, and then in the two following ones where me and Jay continue to explore this, the idea of intent in abstract or concrete, or in the different kinds of disciplines of art, how this could be a key to understand what it is that makes certain abstract pieces very evocative and others feel quite empty. So we're going to explore this over the next few episodes, and meanwhile after that, it would be great if some of you clicked on the links on the show notes just below and get yourself a t-shirt. Why don't you buy a t-shirt for yourself, or a hoodie, now that at least the Northern Hemisphere is going into a bit of a autumny winter. Put that nice hood up around your face and head out into the dark and sport the illumination of showmanship on your back as you go. That would be very wonderful. And until I see you walking ahead of me with that hoodie on the back, all I have to say is take care of yourself and those you love, and I hope to see you along the way.